Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from anthonymorganti.com. About a week ago, I did a video where I showed you guys all my Nikon equipment. Then a couple days later, I did another video where I showed my Fujifilm equipment. Well, I got a lot of emails from folks asking me if I would show all the equipment that's in my studio. So in this video, I'm going to show you all the stuff in the studio. And I also got emails from folks asking me to give the prices of how much stuff cost. So I'm going to give you prices of what I paid for it. They're pretty accurate, what I actually paid for it. It's not necessarily what it might cost you today, but it gives you an idea. Also, I didn't add everything up, meaning at the end I'm not going to give you a grand total of what everything costs because I don't want to get depressed. So if you're curious how much all this stuff would cost because you want to open up your own studio someday, I'll write down the prices as we go and then you could total them up. Okay, let's start with the background. I have a Calumet background. It's just the stands and the support that goes across. And I bought that on sale. It was $93.65. Normally, it's around $145. So that's the Calumet background support. Now, as you can see, I have white seamless paper back there now. I have 3 rolls of paper I use: white, black, and thunder gray. I use black more than any other color, although I've had white on for quite some time because I've been doing a project where I need a white background. Now, the seamless paper varies. Some colors might cost more than others, but for the 3 that I use, they run around $65 each. Now, I know some photographers like to have colors like blue and red and things like that, but I use gels on my flashes to change the color of the background. And someday I'll make a video that demonstrates how to do that. It's actually very easy to do, and it's a lot cheaper and a lot easier than hauling around big 9-foot rolls of paper. I also have some muslin backdrops. I don't use those that much. I have one that's an earth tone color brown, and I have a blue, and I have a gray one. And those run around $100 each, the ones I got. You could get those a lot cheaper, but the ones I got were around $100 each. You shop around on that if you use those. And they cost more too. If you need a 9-foot one, or if you want a narrow one that's only 5 feet wide, of course it's going to be a lot cheaper. Okay, one other thing, I'm not going to pick it up, but along the bottom on it, I have a bar. That's a counterweight that you snap onto the paper, or the paper goes into it, so it keeps the paper nice and flat. And that bar, or that counterweight, costs $33. So it's really just a bar with like a sleeve on it, and you put the paper in there and push the sleeve over the paper. So it gives a nice counterweight and keeps everything nice and flat. There are times where I have to roll the paper out and give that kind of infinity look, and then I'll take that bar off usually and just gaffer tape down the seamless paper to the ground. Okay, so that's the entire background. Now, as far the strobes themselves, I have 4 Paul C. Buff Einstein strobes. I should add too, I purchased all this stuff myself. Nothing was given to me. I actually emailed Paul C. Buff a while ago and asked if he'd give me a discount because I do videos, and he was very nice. Actually, an employee of his was very, very nice, but politely told me no. So I paid full price for everything. The Paul C. Buff 640 WS Einstein strobes run $499.95 each, and I have 4 of them. They do not come with the reflectors, and I have 2 reflectors I purchased, and the reflectors run $19.95 each. Also, they don't come with the trigger, the remote wiring, or the remote RF triggers. Those cost extra, and you plug them in right here like this. And forgive me one second, I don't want to bend a pin. I shouldn't have pulled that out. There we go. The trigger itself runs, really? Well, wow, that's a lot. The reflector was $19.95 and the remote trigger was $29.95. So, and I have that times, well, I have the 4 lights and the 4 triggers, and I have 2 reflectors. The stands are 13-foot air cushion stands, and I have caster wheels at the bottom, which don't work very well. They kind of stick, but anyway, the stands themselves were $99.95. The caster wheels were $39.95 a set. If you're purchasing these, and these are Paul C. Buff stands also, if you're purchasing them, I recommend you don't bother with the casters because they don't roll smoothly. They stick like crazy, and they're quite aggravating. So the casters were a waste of money. So it was $39.95 for 1 set of casters, so that's times 4. And I have 4 13-foot air cushion stand at $100 each, $99.95 each. Okay, I also have these boom arms. Excuse me. This boom arm, I think it's made by Westcott. They ran a lot, believe it or not. $99.95 each. And I bought 2 of them. I have 2 of them. There's one here, and I have one in the corner over there. So that's if you use the boom arm. If you want to tilt, it's wrong car. You want to tilt things, around. So you would use the boom arm for that. And nowadays there's C-stands you could buy, they're called, and the C-stands are kind of a stand with a boom arm built in. But those run considerably more than even this combination. Get a decent C-stands at least $300. So this combination here was like $200. It works well though, it actually does work well. There are counterweights that I got with the boom arms. So if I put the boom arm way out, there's a weight that goes on the end, and I have those in storage room over there. So that's the boom arms. And as I mentioned, those casters are a waste of money. So I think that is that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to come back and I'll show you the light modifiers I have. All right? I'll just be a second. Okay, I'm back surrounded by softboxes. And let's just go through them by size. I have 2 of these. I only brought one out. It's a 10 by 36 inch strip box, and it's $119.95. And all the softboxes are Paul C. Buff softboxes as well. The next size is a 24 by 36 inch softbox, and that's also $119.95. The next size up is a 32 by 40 inch softbox. That's $129.95. The next size up is a 30 by 60 inch softbox, and that's $159.95. And I have a 47 inch Octabox. We just call it 47 inch Octa. That's $169.95. And over here I have a 22 inch Beauty Dish. Comes with the sock. That was $79.95. And the one I have is completely silver inside. You could get them where it's white in here and it gives a little bit of a softer light, but I prefer the harsher light, so it's still not that harsh, but it's a little harsher, a little more specular. So I got the silver one, and again, that's $79.95, and it comes with the sock, so you could soften it with that. And that's all the light modifiers I have for the strobes. Now, I'm going to get rid of these, and I'll show you some more stuff I have in the studio. All right, guys, I'm surrounded by some more stuff. First of all, I have this reflector holder arm, and that ran $29.95, and again, I bought that from Paul C. Buff. 5-in-1 reflector, I've had them a long time. I think they were around $40 for this one. I also have one way over here. I have this one here. Again, I can't remember. I think maybe around $50 for this bigger one. The stand is just a cheap 10-foot stand to hold this boom arm, and I think it was around $40 for the stand. I have, as you can see in here, sandbags. When you're using things on boom arms like that, you can put a sandbag down. And the sandbags were $25 for 4, and they don't come with any sand in them. And you just go to Home Depot or somewhere like that, and you could pick up sand for, like play sand for like $5 a bag, a 40-pound bag. And I think a couple bags, I filled up all the sandbags. So $10 for sand to fill up the sandbags. Okay, now I mentioned on the lights, they've got the Cyber Commander, so they're wireless. This is the actual commander that goes on the camera, and this ran $179.95. It also doubles as a flash meter. You can see there's a little lumisphere on the back, although I don't really use it as a flash meter, but it does control all the lights, and you could change the power of the lights from your camera with this. So I could change all 4 lights one at a time, you know, make them all individual, put them in groups. I could do one group all at the same time. Stuff like that you could do with this. Again, it ran $179.95. Now, I do rent out my studio to other photographers now and then, and to try to explain to them how to use this, it would take all day. So I have just this little cheap Cyber Commander that goes on the camera, and it will fire all 4 lights at the same time. You cannot adjust the lights from this, but it will trigger them all, and that's what I give them to use, and this ran $59.95 for that. Now with that said, I mentioned that big Cyber Commander, the more expensive one, had a built-in light meter, and I don't use it. That's because I'm used to my Sekonic meter, and I have a L478D Sekonic meter, and it ran $289, and I have that. And I also have a 5-degree spot attachment for it to do spot meter readings, and that ran $110 for that. Okay, now I mentioned that I use gels instead of using colored paper, and the gels ran $40. There's gels there. I also have various gray cards, you know, to get proper white balance and things like that. Those, you could pick these up for like $10. I have a bunch of different ones I use. There's also called a warm card in here. Gives you a little bit of more of a warm white balance. I use that sometimes. Okay, for the 8.5-inch reflectors that are on those Einstein Strobes, I have grids, and I have 2 15-degree grids. Bear with me, I'm sorry I keep looking down, but these were $20 each. 2 15-degree, I have 2 30-degree grids. Again, the grids were $20 each. Okay, now, all those softboxes I showed you, I have 8 crate grids for those. And you're gonna die when you find out how much these cost. That small strip box, I have 2 of those small strip box. This is the 8 crate grid for that, and it ran $29.95 for that. The small strip box was $34.95. The medium strip box was $39.95, and that large rectangular strip box was $54.95. And the Octa box, I never bought a grid for that because I just got tired of spending money around that point. Further down, I have like gaffer's tape and stuff like that. Also, the Einstein lights, they don't come with the reflector. You have to pay for that extra, as I mentioned. They do have this kind of frosted dome that's over the light. And a lot of photographers keep that on and use that. It changes the color temperature of the light. So if you have multiple lights like I do, you either leave this on all of them or you take it off all of them. It's up to you. I have mine off. It doesn't really matter, to tell you the truth. It offers more protection so you don't accidentally hit the modeling light and break it, or break the actual flash bulb itself. It does, as I mentioned though, change the color temperature. So if you have multiple lights, you don't want one with one of these on and one with one off because your color temperatures won't match. So make sure you use them all or you don't use them all. I'm not using them all. I have one more reflector. This is when I use an umbrella, very rare case. This is called an umbrella reflector. And that ran probably more money than I wanted to spend. $12.95 for that. Okay, various clamps. You know, you need A clamps and things like that to clamp up muslin backdrops. Also on the paper, you might, I don't know if it could go that high, but at the very top I have clamps so the paper doesn't unroll. There's clamps up there. There's these various brackets and things. If I use flash instead of strobe, you could use that. Those ran about $40 each. This is called a mini boom arm. A lot of times you need to angle a softbox, and you don't need a full-fledged boom arm. You could use a mini one instead. And the mini boom arm ran $14.95. Again, I bought that from Paul C. Buff. And I think I might have covered everything. And I hopefully wasn't very confusing. I'm sure I was, and I might have screwed up talking here and there because I'm doing it on the run. So if, oh, I do have umbrellas. I don't use them much. I got these small shoot-through umbrellas. Those ran like 15 bucks each. I have a larger combination, either reflecting umbrella or shoot-through umbrella. It's a really cheap one. It was made by Impact. Westcott makes one that's super popular. But this Impact one was like, I want to say it was around $25 to $30, whereas the Westcott one is like twice that. So the little bit I use an umbrella, this one works fine. All right, so that's that. My umbrellas, and I have another small stand like this over there, and I have the other boom arm. Might as well take it out. Oops, I got actually two small stands. Sometimes you need to put a light low and shoot up at the backdrop, so I have small stands for that. This is that other boom arm I have. That's everything, I think. Of course, the studio itself, the studio itself it's not perfect. It's in downtown Buffalo. It's in a big office building. Typically rent would be super, super high, but my son is the accountant for the guy who owns the building. So I got it at about half price. So you have that rent expense. I signed a lease, and in the lease I have to have liability insurance. I need it anyway. I have models coming here. Something fell on a model. You know, you don't want that. So liability insurance was $516 a year. I remember that. What else could I tell you? Security cameras. I have security cameras that just get people walking in the door and into the other room over there that you can't see. And that's recording all the time. And that ran around, I don't know, I want to say for the whole system, maybe $1,000. The building has security too, but I wanted on top of that. Internet, I kind of get out cheap because there's an internet Wi-Fi hotspot right here that I use for free. But someday on my podcast, Photography is My Passion, I want to have Skype guests, and the free internet isn't robust enough for that. So I will have to pay for internet someday. So that's another cost. What else could be considered a cost? Oh, well, since I'm in this office building and parking, I'm in downtown Buffalo, I park at a parking ramp about 2 blocks away, and that runs $45 a month to park there. And I think that's everything. I think I'm telling you, oh, behind the camera, which I'm actually not going to bother dragging out, someday I'll show them. They're called V-flats. V-flats are big panels. They're 8 foot by 4.5 feet, and they're black on one side and white on the other. And you would have a model here, and maybe you want really strong reflection, you're doing a high key, so you would bring the V-flat out, and what it is, it's called a V-flat because it folds like this. So you could look it up on the internet, and you could fold it out, pull it out, and just get a real, full panel reflection. There are times though where you want to use it as a gobo to blacklight, and that's where you'd use the black side to just block lights so you're not getting reflections all over the place. And I have 2 of those panels, and there are actually 4 panels that are joined in the middle that fold like this. So, but there's 2 of them. I don't know if that makes sense. But also, I got a bench chair, which was rather cheap. I bought it at Walmart for like $30, and I have a better, nicer one with a back on it that cost around $80. Not to mention desks, chairs for the desk. When you walk in, there's my photography's on the wall. All that ran around $400 to get framed and matted and put on the wall. So, costs a lot of money. Photography's not cheap. So I think that's everything. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. Feel free to ask. I'll do my best to answer them. And we'll go from there, all right? I'll talk to you guys soon.